So am I. Turn with me, if you will, to the Gospel according to St. John. And I want to look at verses 5 through verse 7. I know it's football season. Any football on today? I won't hold you long. Y'all say amen, even when you don't think it's necessary, I'll get you out of here. Y'all don't say amen, I'm going to preach till I preach myself happy. Turn with me, you have John, say amen. Verse 5 reads, it says, and a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said unto him, wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. And the church said, I want to take for a thought today, no more excuses. No more excuses. You know, I've been in this world now for almost 60 years, and I think I've heard just about every excuse for about every reason that you can think of. What I begin to note, though, that what excuses do is that we generally try to render an excuse, and I'm not saying that there aren't some valid excuses, but some excuses just aren't valid. Some excuses are more about appeasing the hearer or the receiver of it so that they will not press for another answer or another reason so that we can move them out of the way. Because we have become more or less, how would I say, we allow our excuses many times to define us. You know some people at the job, and if they're always coming in late and they got what they think is a good excuse. They think that it's okay for that behavior to continue. And many times, even when they're absent, the jobs now demand that you bring in a doctor's excuse. Amen. Some of y'all get in good with the doctor and get the doctor. Because you tell the doctor, if I don't have an excuse, I am going to lose my job. Here we find that this man gave Jesus his excuse. Jesus did not ask him the reason for him being in the condition he was. He asked him, do you want to get out of the condition that you're in? I wonder how many times do we hear the message wrong? How many times is God suggesting one thing to us and we are giving him an excuse as to why we hadn't changed? God is moved, or he moves on us, and we can feel his presence in our lives, but because we have been in a state of weakness or a state of being without for so long, even when God is ready to bless you, you are not on the receiving end because your faith does not engage. Jesus asked this man, and he says, and I'm glad that he said it was a certain man, because saying that it was a certain man lets me know that it can apply to any man. Amen. How many of you know that we can be that certain man? We can't say it was Job or Moses, because when we begin to name them, we then give it an identity. But what I believe is that God didn't put a name with it because he knows that a lot of us have excuses. Says a certain man was there by the pool, and he had an infirmity for 38 years. That's a long time. How many of you, some people in here aren't even 38 years old yet, so there is no way that they can relate to even a 38-year time frame. But there are some of us that can. We are older. We probably, some of us twice that age. And when we get to be live in a condition for so long, we begin to think that that condition is valid, and that's a valid excuse that I can give because I was born into the mess that I'm in. How many of you know being born into the mess you're in does not give you an excuse to stay in the mess you're in? Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Just because you may have been born in an impoverished situation, that does not validate your excuse to stay in poverty. Just because you may have been born with some hang-ups, with some stuff going on in your family, that is not a reason for you to carry that mess on. Tell somebody your excuse is no longer valid. Your excuse is no longer a valid excuse. But here, let's stay with the story. Stay with our text. It says that there was not only this man that was there impotent, but if you go to verse 3, it says, in these lay a great multitude of impotent folks, of blind, folk can't see, of halt, of withered, waiting for the moving of the water. Here is where we see that all of the folk that had something wrong with him would gather here at this place. Isn't it sort of true that when you can find folk that's got some, you heard the saying, birds of a feather flock together? Oh, there is some truth to that. There's some truth to that, because if you want to find mess, find one messy person and they can lead you to everybody else that's messy. Well, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. If you want to talk about somebody, the backbiters, usually one backbiter knows where to find all of the rest of the backbiters. If you find impoverished people, people that's got the poor mouth, people that don't think that they can do any better, they can always find plenty of company of people that are saying that they can't excel. They got a bad case of the cakes, but maybe I serve a God that gives you a case of the cans, and if God says you can't. Here they are, the blind folk, folk that can't see, folk that they think that I wish I could preach today. You ever been around folk that don't see things the way that God intends for them to see it? Those are blind folk. Their eyes can be wide open, but they're as blind as a bat. I've always talked to people, and I've had occasion to be able to explain something to them, and I knew that what I was telling them was right. But lo and behold, they say, I don't see it that way. They are blind. And that's why you can get caught up with folk. You can be around people and you will wonder why they can't see like you see. They can't see that God is the only way. They can't see that they need Jesus in their life. It's because they are blind. The Bible says that the God of this world has blinded their eyes, but there's still no excuse, because I found in the word what God said, that whosoever will, he said whosoever will, he said let him come. But here we find these people, even though they have physical ailments, I see how we are affected spiritually in the same way. It says that they were wildered. Some of them had limbs that were drawn up. I know that there was one man in the Bible, it says that he had a withered hand. Do you know that what your hands are for? Your hands are for giving and receiving. Your hands are for working. Your hands are for being able to lay hands on sick and they recovered. Your hands are supposed to be able to pass a blessing on to your offspring. Y'all remember the old patriarchs that when they got ready to die, that they would lay hands on their heirs and they would render a blessing to them. But there's so many of us today, we got withered hands. We are not able to bless our children.
situation because our hands are with it. And we've been walking around. And you know why our hands are with it? It's because we inherited withered hands. Nobody blessed us. So we can't bless. I wish I could preach. So we can't bless nobody. But I came to let you know today that if God be God, and if God is on your side, that he will heal your withered hands. Somebody ought to say, no more excuses. It's time out for us to see, going from one generation to the next, that each generation that comes along stays in bad condition. And we've been dependent on the government. We're dependent on them to get us out of the mess we're in. Baby, I'm convinced of one thing. It's not the government that's going to get you out. It's God that's going to deliver you. It's not the government that's going to straighten things in your life. You got to call on the name of the true and the living God. For if you call him, he will answer. If you call him, he will show up. Somebody ought to say, no more excuses. Here we see it say that they waited there for the moving of the water. It say for an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. And whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in would be made whole of whatsoever disease that he had. Here now we'll see that there was a system to follow. That whoever got into the water first, they were going to leave better than what they came. That whoever got into the water first, that the people would be able to witness that God is still in the miracle working business. But it's something about that pool that is saying that the angel would come down and trouble it. But baby, God has given us a better plan. He has given us a plan now that we don't have to wait for the water to be troubled. The water is always trouble. The water is always trouble. But we'll still come. And God asks you a question. Do you want to be made whole? Do you want to have your mind changed? Do you want to get out of that sick mind that you've been in? See, some of us can't do better because it's not our legs that's messed up. It's not that we got bad hands. It's not that we got cancer in our body. But we got a bad mind. And when your mind is bad, can I preach to somebody today? When there is a withering in your mind, when there is a haughtiness in your mind, when there is a blindness in your mind, you can't go far in life. You will take one step forward, and because of your crippleness, you will take two steps back because your mind is messed up. When God begins to speak to you directly, you will begin to give the wrong answers because your mind is telling you one thing. God is saying, come out from where you are. But in your mind, you'll say, Mama didn't make it out. Daddy didn't make it out. There's no way I can make it out. But I came to let somebody know it don't matter if Mama made it. It don't matter if Daddy made it. God said, I'm calling you out. No more excuses for you to stay in the place you're in. Somebody ought to say yeah. Yes, here was this man. He had been there for a long time. 38 long years. 38 years is a long time to be anywhere. And when Jesus saw him, the Bible said that he knew he had been there for a long time. And this is what Jesus said. He said, wilt thou be made whole? See, here is what Jesus says to us. Every time we come into the sanctuary, every time you get to hear preaching and teaching, I believe that God is addressing a part of your life. He said, is there something in your life that you need to be fixed from? I don't know about you, but I got some stuff in my life where I'm still a cripple. And when God says, do you want to be made whole? I show it to him and not try to hide it. Sometimes we try to hide from God, but God already knows how long you've been messed up. He already knows how long you've been stumbling and fumbling. He already knows that you need his help, but he want to know, do you want his help? See, so many times you'll come and sit in the pews, but you're not doing it because you want God to help you. You're just doing it because you're religious and you really not want God to fix you. But when you come into the house and the water is trouble, you can't sit there and be quiet. You'll say, God, it's me. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. I'm not worried about what's on the left side. I'm not worried what's on the right side. But it's me. I need you to fix me, Jesus. Somebody ought to say, yes, Lord. No more excuses. Yes. He said he'd been there for a long time. And when Jesus began to commune with him, he said, listen here, do you want to be made whole? The impotent man is not only impotent in his legs, but he's become impotent in his understanding. How many of you know that you can be impotent in your understanding? God can begin to minister to you in one area, and you will begin to think about something else. That's what I like about Jesus, that even when blind folk came to him, he didn't just fix their eyes, because he knew that they may not have come for to get their eyes fixed. See, some folk come to church, and you didn't come for them to fix your life. You just wanted them to fix your bank account. You didn't come, y'all ain't gonna let them preach. You didn't come so you don't any longer have to be messed up. You just want to be able to afford the way you got messed up. I wish I could preach in here. That's what it's all about. Because we have too many damnable gospels preach. Or the gospel of name it and claim it. The gospel of prosperity. Baby, I don't know those gospels. But here is the gospel I know. It's Jesus. Hey, it's Jesus. Jesus in the morning. Jesus in the noonday. Jesus at night. And if I see him, he said all of these other things. If I seek him, he said all of these other things, they are going to be added unto me. He said, don't seek the stuff, seek me. Don't look for it. I wish I could preach. See, if I seek him, he already told me. He said, cattle on 1,000 hills belong to me. Some of y'all have heard me tell the story before. I talked to a young man, a young preacher. He was telling me that he grew up in one of the islands. And he said that his mama and they were poor and said they were struggling. And he said one time he eavesdropped on his mama's prayer because his mama knew something about God. She was in there praying. She said, God, I'm going through a rough time. She said, but I saw in your word where God, you said, count on 1,000 hills that they belong to you. She said, God, I need you to sell one of your cows because I need some money to go in my pocket. I don't need the cow, God. You sell the cow and put the money in somebody's hand. I want to tell you today that the kind of God that I serve, I may be living and can't get to my blessing, but if I serve him, he'll make my enemy my footstool. They'll come to you and bring you the money and say, here is the money for one of them cows. Somebody ought to say, yeah. This man, he was impotent. And he began to tell Jesus, he said, sir, he said, I have no man that when the water is troubled to put me in the pool. I can only imagine that this was not his first time at the pool, that he probably showed up yearly, and he had gotten to the point to where he just showed up without any expectation. How many of you have been in always that when you got in line, you knew that the place that you was trying to get into, what you thought was already filled to capacity, because you were so far back in line to where you begin to think, I'm not going to make it in. I'm not going to get in anyway. How many of you have been in and your team was down score, and you decided that I'm going to get up early and leave the game. See, some of y'all have been in, but you didn't stay long enough. Some of you were out and didn't believe that you could get in. I was not a preacher hitting somebody, but I came to talk to both of you today. That even if you're on the outside, I don't care how long the line is, that if Jesus shows up in your life, I heard in the word where he said the first is going to be last, and the last is going to be first. What God's going to do, he'll move you to the head of the line. Somebody said that's rude. No, baby, that's God. I don't care what you think about my favor. Tell somebody favor ain't fair. Favor will get rude. It'll promote me over somebody else. Somebody ought to say yes, Lord. He asked him, he said, I want to be made whole. He said, sir, when the water is troubled, I don't have anyone to put me. I've had a lot of promises that they were going to help me. Had a lot of folk that they promised that they was going to do this or do that for me. But when it came to the eve of them doing the favor that they are supposed to do for me, now they call an ID in me. And the Texas obviously ain't getting through because I've been blowing up their phone. And still they won't answer me. But see, up until the point to where I really needed them, they said that they'd be there for me. Some of y'all been through that before. Some of y'all been at the place to where that when you were in need and you begin to solicit help from man, that man said, I'll help you. But I come to know something about man. That man can have good intentions, but his arm is weak and he'll let you down. I found out something about man, that if he has a hiccup, that he's going to drink the water himself before he tries to cure my hiccup. But it's something about God. My Bible told me that he don't slumber and he don't sleep. My Bible told me that his arm is not short to where he cannot save. My Bible told me that it's not by power and not by might, but it's by his Spirit. What does that mean, God? Because you say that you're all powerful. You say that you're omnipotent. You say that you're omniscient. So why isn't it by power? And why isn't it by might? Because look at God. He said if it's by my Spirit, they can lock the door and I can still get in. If it's by power, y'all ain't gonna let me preach. Hallelujah. I recall in a prayer meeting where the disciples were. They was locked in. But Jesus came walking through the walls. Doors can't keep him out. Folk can't keep him out. Education can't keep him out. It's by his. He said, but while I'm coming, another stepping down. This is my excuse. This is why I'm 38 years. Now his excuse up until this point is valid. Because this is his first encounter with Jesus. He's got a valid excuse. He's crippled. He can't run to the water. He's been soliciting help. Nobody will help him. But today is the day to where he will no longer be able to have a valid excuse. Somebody in here today, up until today, your reason for being the way you are was valid. But not after today. Well, Jesus says to him, next. He doesn't give him a chance to continue to expound upon his excuse. He says to him, by way of a commandment, take up thy bed and walk. You telling me is that easy for me to get out of this 38-year mess that I've been crawling in, that all I need is a word from God? Amen. And you telling me that what's been holding me, God's telling me to carry it. So that's for somebody else. See, you've been allowing your circumstances to hold you down. Because somebody may have said to you, and you have owned that thing, that you ain't gonna ever be nothing. And that crippled you. Some of you have been in relationships where you allow some man or some woman to define you and define who God said you are. And somewhere along the way, they made you feel less than. And you've been lying in that bed of misery ever since. It's been holding you there. How many of you know that once you become comfortable, he just said it was a bed, didn't he? That means he's sleeping. He didn't say it was a bed, didn't he? That means that sometimes he had to make it up. Sometimes he had to go back and reposition stuff and make it look decent. Why do you keep making your misery look good? Sleeping in it, wallowing in it. It's got to the place to where everywhere you go now, you want folks to see how you're living. Some of y'all enlarge your bed. You started out in a single wide. Now you got a king size. So somebody else can get in it with you. And you wonder why folks don't want to be around you. You wonder why folks get tired of hearing that same old excuses all the time. It gets to the place to where you become so miserable that becomes your normal. And when misery becomes your normal, you're in a hot mess. You're in a hot mess. You know what? You got some people, and let me tell you how being poverty crippled works. You can get finances in your hand, but because of your wilted, impotent hand, you can't hold on to it because you don't know what. You want to have a party. You want to go shopping. And for some of y'all, that credit card ain't nothing but a crutch. It's the pillow that's on your bed. So what happens? It got to the point to where you don't mind telling folks, I'm broke again. Child, I just ain't got it. You had it. What did you do with it? No, because you are crippled. And you have gotten to the point to where you expect to look in the mirror and see yourself crippled. You got to see yourself whole. You got to see yourself delivered. You got to see yourself set free. If you don't change your mind, nothing about you is going to change. Jesus told this man to take up your bed and walk. He gave him a choice. Gave him a choice. He didn't say develop. He just said take it up. Now it's up to him to follow the instructions that were given, not to see himself as still being the cripple, but to see himself as being made whole. Because if God said I can do it, I can do it. But my legs ain't worked in 38 years. It doesn't matter if they've worked in 38 years. If God said I can do it, I can do it. Well, nobody has ever seen me walk. It doesn't matter how people have ever seen you or what they've seen you do. You're not trying to please people. You're pleasing God. Some people want to know what they're going to think if they see me walking and they just gave me some new crutches. They don't think I lied to her. We had a lady here once. We was praying prayer of healing over. She said, we said, we're going to pray that God will heal you, sister. And I believe that God will heal her. I believe God. She said, no. She said, no. She said, I'll take the prayer, but I don't want the healing because they'll cut my check off. Don't you know that if God takes that source of income away from you, that he is able that she had become impotent in her thinking that this is the only way that I can survive. I got to be attached to me being crippled. Some of us stay in crippled relationships. We allow ourselves to be crippled. Crippled. I ain't talking to the married folk. I'm talking to the folk that ain't married. I'm talking to the ones that you allow yourself to be placed in a position or in a predicament to where you're having the very life pulled out of you for no other reason than to say you got somebody. Kind of like a carton of milk or a loaf of bread. When you get through, the wrapper ain't no good. Sometimes you just put it in the trash. When you find out that something ain't been working in your life, it ain't working. I'm almost done. Listen to this. Jesus said, rise, take up thy bed and walk. And listen to this. This is the good part. It says, and immediately the man was made whole and took up his bed and walked. I'm going to tell you this and then we're going to have more supper. But I want you to get this part. How long had he been messed up? That's a long time.